Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Government blames opposition for delaying the process to make Jamaica a republic. The government has blamed the opposition People's National Party (PNP) for holding up the start of the process for making Jamaica a republic. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Mallahu Ford says by refusing to name its representatives to the committee that has been assigned to spearhead the process, the opposition is hindering the process. She made the statement while speaking in Parliament on January 11, noting that she is disappointed in the opposition. She said the government intends to have a referendum early next year on the establishment of the Republic, and the action by the opposition is slowing the process.
Sadly, Madam Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition has advised that the concerns he has are such that he will not be naming the members of the opposition to sit on the committee at this time. I don't think I can express sufficiently to the people of Jamaica how disappointed I am with this position. It has not taken me by surprise that there are matters that the parliamentary opposition feels strongly about, and in particular, the issue of the final court for Jamaica. But, Madam Speaker, we do not at this time have consensus, even though we are agreed on many other things on the particular subject matter. January 10, 2022, and today, 1 year to date, and we have spent the time to go through in detail and take stock to ensure that we can move as speedily as possible, because it is our intention to have the referendum early 2024. Madam Speaker, it will take at least 9 months, 9 to 12 months, ambitiously, to pass the bill to amend the Constitution to establish the Republic of Jamaica. The Constitution says there must be a 3-month delay between first reading and second reading. We can't start the debate unless 3 months have elapsed. And then there is another 3 months between the second reading and the third reading. That makes it half a year of dead time. Half a year of dead time. So it doesn't matter how ambitious our goals are, we will not get it done before 9 to 12 months if everything else flows smoothly.
In response, Mr. Golden said the opposition is willing to name its representatives, but it wants to do so with a full understanding of the direction being taken. Mr. Golden said he needed a formal response from government on the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms that the government has indicated it will amend. He also wants by his concern about the Privy Council remaining as Jamaica's final court of appeal to be addressed.
The ministers also indicated that there is to be a referendum on the monarchy and on other matters which have not been disclosed to us. I've written to her to say I would like full and transparent disclosure of which amendments requiring a referendum the government is intent to pursue. I would like to know that before we embark on this committee exercise. But I am asking, and I expect and hope to receive the clarity, transparency, and disclosure that we want and that the Jamaican people deserve as to where the government intends to go on these important matters.
JTA should receive clear understanding of vacant teacher position in schools across the country by end of this week. The Jamaica Teachers Association says it should have a clear understanding of the number of vacant teacher positions in schools across the country by the end of this week. Speaking with reporters, JTA President Lasandra Harrison notes that the preliminary reports have indicated a shortage of teachers, especially at the primary and secondary levels. Harrison says this shortage is concerning as teachers are no longer waiting on a specific season to resign. She knows that the association is gathering information about the vacancies and resulting challenges being experienced at schools.
We are observing and continue to monitor the situation as it relates to the number of advertisements in the paper, vacancies in our various institutions, primarily our secondary institutions and our primary schools. That is indicating that we are having perhaps a prolonged challenge. Once upon a time, the teachers would have left at a particular season, but it seems that the season is extending. Continuing, and so we're watching them. That has implications on staffing, operations, how principals, administrators are able to deploy staff, and in some cases would perhaps have to cut some of the programs that they offer because they simply don't have the human resource. So to carry on said programs. We have sent out a Google form and we are still awaiting our colleagues populating same. Today is Wednesday. Last time we checked, we had a little over 50 respondents, and before that they were cautioning us to say that they would not have a true picture until school would have started. So we're giving them up until the end of this week to populate that document and for us to truly see what the challenges look like on the ground as to this matter of vacancies to be filled in our schools. That is significant. It will have impact on teaching and learning because we can stretch the existing staff complement so much and no more.
Draft regulations for NIDS tabled in Parliament. Draft regulations for the National Identification System NIDS had been tabled in the House of Representatives. Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Floyd Green, says the regulations were being laid in draft form to allow for consideration and review before debate on the regulations begin. He said one of the 4 draft regulations will outline the processes of application, renewal, and cancellation of NIDS cards. He said the other regulations will address security, assignment of NIDS number, and tribunal appeal. Mr. Green said the next step is for the regulations to be reviewed and feedback given to make necessary changes before they are debated in Parliament.
The National Identification and Registration Regulations 2023 seek to outline the practicalities from the application, enrollment, cancellation, renewal. The forms that are going to be used for people to apply will be there. People will be able to see how persons with disabilities and others requiring assistance, such as the elderly, will be able to access NIDS. The regulations also outline the type of documents that may be accepted, the form of the national identification card, and also national identification card will be free. But if you were to lose the card, if you were to mutilate the card, that is also outlined in terms of whether there are fees so attached. The other draft regulation that is tabled is the National Identification and Registration Information Security Regulations to treat with issues such as security standards, processes, practices that the National Identification and Registration Authority will be expected to abide by. If the authority fails to do so, the National Identification and Registration Inspectorate and indeed the Parliament is empowered to bring the authority back into line. We've also laid assignment of national identification numbers regulations. How we have now arranged the scheme is that your national identification number will be identical to your tax administration number. The final regulation that has been tabled is the National Identification and Registration Appeals Tribunal regulations. By law, it is critical that the National Identification and Registration Authority has an appeal process that is built into our national identification system, and this regulation outlines how an appeal may be made, including the necessary forms. We are sharing the regulations in soft copies up on the National Identification website, and I'm very sure that the House of Parliament will also place the regulations on their website. We're encouraging the members of this House to take the regulations, to inform their constituents, and to get feedback, and to pass that feedback to the Office of the Prime Minister. I also urge all Jamaicans, eligible residents, to read the regulations. Feedback should be provided to the Office of the Prime Minister, the NIDS Project Executing Team, by the 21st of February 2023, so that we can review, bring any changes necessary, and then we can have a debate in the House. It is intended that the regulations will be in place by the first quarter of the new financial year.
Businessman Dwight Peters to chair new 15-member Edna board. Businessman Dwight Peters has been appointed chairman of the Board of Management of the Edna College of the Visual and Performing Arts. The new 15-member board was named by Minister of Education and Youth Favor Williams and was ratified by the Cabinet. The board will serve for 3 years. Attorney at Law Donahue Martin and Chartered Accountant and Management Consultant Beverly Williamson has been returned from the previous board. Martin will serve as Vice President. The other members are Chartered Accountant Ventura Bernard, Business Executive Ann Dawn Young Song, Design Consultant Michael Bonick, Bank of Jamaica Director Victor Henry, Industrial Relations Executive Vaughn McDonald, Dr. Tamika Benjamin representing the Ministry of Education and Youth, Professor Shermaine Barrett of the University of the Technology, Dr. Arville Beckford of the University of the West Indies. The board also comprised Students Representative Janet Alexander, Interim Principal Dorothy R. Campbell, who has been seconded by the College for the Ministry of Education and Youth, Claudine Wunchin, who represents administrative staff, and Doreen Reed was returned as faculty representative. Peters, who is head of the modeling agency Saint, said that he is humbled to have been asked to serve. I have always been a proponent of the advances of art and creative artists. The cultural and creative industries are valued at billions of dollars, but are often not given due respect or strategic consideration by many. The mission is to strengthen the EMC VPA brand in the global space through outreach and collaboration. Strategic collaborations with regional and international partners will be an imperative, he said in a statement. The board intends to make the college a cradle for the next generation of power players in all disciplines of creativity, visual and performing arts, he continued. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification